I keep a notebook, and in that notebook is the imagination. I call it the imagination notebook, where you're studying Scripture, you're reading Scripture, and you're writing Scripture down and putting it in your own voice. How does this translate? And what comes about when you first hear it? But not just writing it, it has to be spoken. The Scripture is spoken word, and too often we hear it in our heads. It should be spoken out loud, and there should be emphasis on different aspects of the words that you are speaking. And all of a sudden, it begins to change. And then to read it in different translations. And then from reading it in different translations, creating your own translation. Then trying to create a translation that makes sense to the fifth grader and to the person who's 90, to the millennial, and to the person who's middle-aged. How do you create a translation that works for everybody? That is part of just the beginning aspect of preparation of just trying to get the text in view, is hearing it over and over again. And then all of a sudden, things begin to pop up in your spirit. I hear this or hear that. For example, I was reading Scripture, Revelation. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And while I was reading it, I started reading the punctuation. I am Alpha and Omega, comma, the beginning and the end, comma. And as I was reading the punctuation, all of a sudden it became very clear, how do you preach around the punctuation? The theology of the comma, the theology of the semicolon and the semicolon, depending upon where you're from, the theology of the colon, the theology of the question mark. But the most powerful piece of punctuation is the period. The easiest to write, but has the greatest authority. And the simple idea that ran through was, only God, who is Alpha and Omega, has the right to write a period in anyone's life. And then the celebratory aspect of the message was, after going through all of the different types of punctuation, I left one out. That was the exclamation mark. That's a dot with a line on top of it. And that's the shout and the celebration. That when you know God is the only one who can write a period, then all of a sudden your testimony becomes an exclamation mark.